We are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5th. We read up to this verse. So, how devotee behaves, like he's seeing, he's hearing, he's touching, smelling, eating, moving out, sleeping, breathing, everything. But because he knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and he is aloof from them. To be from text 10. How it is possible? Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam takta karoti lipate na shapapena patma ibham vasha. Though he is doing his task, karma will not task him. By giving example, like Padma Patra, Ivo Ambasha, Brahmani unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Adhayo, designing. Karmani, all works. Shangam, attachment. Tattva, giving up. Karoti, performs. Ya, who? Lipate is affected, no, never. Saw, he. Papena, by sin. Padma Patro, a lotus leaf, evil like ambushed by the water. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action. As the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Here, Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of the three modes of material nature, technically called the pradhan. The Vedic hymns, Sharvam hi etat Brahma Mandukya Upanishad, Tasmat etat Brahma Nama Rupam Annam Cha Jayate, that is also Mandukya Upanishad. And in Bhagavad Gita also. Mamo Janir Mahat Brahma indicate that everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahma. And all the effects are differently manifested. They are non-different from the cause. In the Upanishad, it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman or Krishna. And thus, everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna, that he is the proprietor of everything, and that therefore everything is to be engaged in the service of the Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even though his material body, being a gift of the Lord for carrying out the particular type of action, can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is then beyond contamination by sinful reactions, exactly as the lotus leaf, though remaining in the water, is not wet. The Lord also says in the Gita, Moi Sharvani Karmani Shanyasya, resign all works unto me. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses. But a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna. Kayena mono shabdha केवलैर इंद्रियैर योगिनो कर्म कुर्वन्ति संगम त्यक्त आत्मशुद्धये संगम त्यक्ता आत्मशुद्धये कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या कायेन with the mind मनसा with the कायेन with the body मनसा with the mind बुद्धा with the intelligence काय मन बुद्धि केवल purified indriyoi with the senses of even yogina Krishna conscious person karma kurvanti they perform actions sangam attached takta giving up atma shuddhaye atma of the self shuddha for the purpose of purification. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. When one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the sense of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence, or even the senses, is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities, which are generally called Shadachar, can be easily performed by the acting in Krishna consciousness. Sri Rupa Goswami, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, describes this as follows. Iha jasya harir dasya karmana manasagira niklisha vyavasthasu jivan mukta savacchati. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world. Although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities, he has no false, for he does not believe that he is this material body or that he possesses the body. He knows that he is not this body and that this body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna and the body too belongs to Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession to Krishna's service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of false ego and leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. Yukta karma phalam tyakta shantim apnoti nishtikim ajukta kama karina phale shakti nibaddha. Yukta, one who is engaged in devotional service. Karma phalam, the results of the activities. Tyakta, giving up. Karma phalam tyakta and yukta, one engaged devotional service. Engage devotional service and give up the result activities. Then he'll get shantim apnoti, will achieve perfect peace. Shantim apnoti. Nishtikim, unflinching. What type of shanti? Unflinching peace. Not flickering. Ajukta kamakarina. Ajukta, one who is not yukta with Krishna, then one who is not in Krishna consciousness, not doing in Krishna consciousness. Kamo, and doing for what? Kamakarina, for enjoying the result of what? What will happen to me? Phale shakta nibaddhate. Phale, in the result, shakta attached, nibaddhate becomes entangled. Baddhate nibaddhate. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the results of his labor, becomes entangled. The difference between a person in Krishna consciousness and a person in bodily consciousness is that the former is attached to Krishna, whereas the latter is attached to the results of his activities. The person who is attached to Krishna and works for him only is certainly a liberated person, and he has no anxiety over the results of his work. In the Bhagavatam, the cause of anxiety over the result of an activity is explained as being one's functioning in the conception of duality, that is, without knowledge of the absolute truth. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. In Krishna consciousness, there is no duality, free from dandha, duality. All that exists is a product of Krishna's energy, and Krishna is all good. Therefore, activities in Krishna consciousness are on the absolute plane. They are transcendental and have no material effect. One is therefore filled with peace in Krishna consciousness, but one who is entangled in profit calculation for sense gratification cannot have that peace. I'm reading again. One who is entangled in profit calculation. One who is entangled in profit calculation for sense gratification cannot have that peace. Bhagavatam Bharti, Ashahi Paramam Dukkham. The desire, calculation of profit, the desire is the cause of suffering. This is the secret of Krishna consciousness realization, that there is no existence besides Krishna in the platform of peace and fearlessness. In platform of Krishna consciousness, everything is peaceful and fearless. Sarva karmani manasa, shanna shaste sukham goshi, navoddhare puredehi nadiva, kurban nakaraya. Sarva karmani manasa, sarva or karmani activities, manasa by the mind, shanasya giving up, as the remains, sukham goshi, sukham in happiness, boshi one who is controlled, navoddhare puredehi. Navadar is body. In the place where there are 9 gates, Navadha. Pure in the city. Navadhar Pur means this body. And Dehi, the embodied soul. Navadhara Pure Dehi, the soul in the body. No, never ever certainly Kurban doing anything. No, not Karayan. Causing to be done. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, neither working nor causing work to be done. The embodied soul lives in the city of 9 gates. The activities of the body or the figurative city of the body are conducted automatically by its practical modes of nature. Sorry, I'm reading it. The activities of the body or the figurative city of the body are conducted automatically by its particular modes of nature. Mode of goodness will act in one way, mode of goodness will act another way. The soul, although subjecting himself to the condition of the body, can be beyond these conditions if he so desires. Owing only to forgetfulness of his superior nature, he identifies with the material body and therefore suffers. By Krishna consciousness, he can revive his real position and thus come out of his embodiment. Therefore, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, one at once becomes completely aloof from bodily activities. In such a condition, in such a controlled life, in which his deliberations are changed, he lives happily within the city of 9 gates. The 9 gates are mentioned as follows. Navoddare Puridehi, Hangsho Lilayate Vahi, Boshi Sarvasya Lokasya, Sthavarasya Charasya, Sthavarasya Charasya, Charachar, Achar means Sthavar. Sthavar and Char. Sthavar means Achar. Who does not move? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is living within the body of a living entity, is the controller of all living entities all over the universe. The body consists of 9 gates. The living entity in his conditioned state identifies himself with the body. But when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as Lord, even while in the body. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is free from both the outer and inner activities of the material body. No kotitam, no karmani, lokosya srijati prabhu. No karma pala sanjogam, svabhavistu bhavarte. No, never. Kotitam, proprietorship. No, nor karmani, activities. Lokasya of the people. Srijati creates. Prabhu, the master of the city of the body. Nor karma follow with the results of activities. Yogam, connection. Savavaha, the modes of material nature. 2, but pravartate, act. The embodied spirit soul, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. The living entity, as will be explained in the 7th chapter, is one of the energies or natures of the Supreme Lord, but is distinct from matter, which is another nature called inferior of the Lord. Somehow, the superior energy, the living entity, has been in contact with material nature since time immemorial. The temporary body or material dwelling place which he obtains is the cause of varieties of activities and their resultant actions. Living in such a conditional atmosphere, one suffers the results of the activities of the body by identifying himself with the body. It is ignorance acquired from time immemorial that is the cause of. It is ignorance acquired from the time immemorial that is the cause of bodily suffering and distress. Avidya is the ignorance. Avidya. It is the cause of suffering. As soon as the living entity becomes aloof from the activities of the body, he becomes free from the reactions as well. As long as he is in the city of body, he appears to be the master of it. But actually, he is neither its proprietor nor controller of its actions and reactions. He is simply in the midst of the material ocean, struggling for existence. The waves of the ocean are tossing him, and he has no control over them. His best solution is to get out of the water of the transcendental, by transcendental Krishna consciousness. His best solution is to get out of the water by transcendental Krishna consciousness. Water, what is water? This Bhavasagar. That alone will save him from all turmoil. Nadatya koshachit papam nachiva shukritam vihu ajnanana abridam jnanam tena mujjanti jantavaha. No adatte never accepts. Koshachit, anyone. Papam, sin. No, nor. Cha also, ever. Certainly. Sukritam, past activities. Vihu, the Supreme Lord. Ajnanana, by ignorance. Abritam, covered. Jnanam, knowledge. Tena, by that. Muyanti, or bewildered. Jantavaha, the living entities. Nor does the Supreme Lord assumes anyone's sinful or past activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. I'm reading again. Nor does the Supreme Lord assumes anyone's sinful or past activities. Nor does Supreme Lord, because before explained, the soul is not involved in sinful past activities. Here, Lord also not involved in sinful past activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of ignorance. Who is the cause? That individual soul, but when that embodied, when that soul embodied, however, he bewildered because of the ignorance, this covers his real knowledge. Third chapter also is covering Kyano Abhita Dehinam. And that type of covering, different degree of covering. Dhovena Priyata Varni Jathadasya Malanacha. Fire is covered by smoke. Mirror is covered by dust. And ember is covered by foam. Different degree. The Sanskrit word Vibhu means the Supreme Lord, who is full of unlimited knowledge, riches, strength, fame, beauty, and renunciation. Sharai Shajja. He is always satisfied in himself, undisturbed by sinful or past activities. he does not create a particular situation for any living entity. But the living entity built by ignorance desires to be put into certain conditions of life, and thereby his chain of action and reaction begins. Chain of action and reaction begins. We are suffering due to an action. Why you've done that action? Due to previous activity. Why you have done that? Previous activity. That is why it is very difficult to identify the root. Anadi karma. Somebody suffering from fever. Why fever? Mosquito has bitten. Cause is mosquito bite. Why mosquito bite? No mosquito net. The cause is mosquito net. Why no mosquito net? It is very poor. Poor. The cause is poor. Fever. And why is poor? So in the same way, why is suffering from fever? Is mosquito net? He is poor. Or why he is poor? That cause is very difficult to understand. The root is very deep. There is chain of action and reaction. The living entity is, by superior nature, full of knowledge. Nevertheless, he is prone to be influenced by ignorance due to his limited power. The Lord is omnipotent, but the living entity is not. The Lord is Vibhu or omniscient, but the living entity is Anu or atomic. Because he is a living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. Such desire is fulfilled only by the omnipotent Lord. And so, when the living entity is built up in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill these desires. But the Lord is never responsible for the actions and reactions of the particular situation which may be desired. Being in a built-up condition, therefore, the embodied soul identifies himself with the circumstantial material body and becomes subjected to the temporary misery and happiness of life. The Lord is the constant companion of the living entity as Parama, or the super soul. And therefore, he can understand the desires of the individual soul, as one can smell the fragrance of a flower by being near it. Desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desire as the devotees. Man proposes, God disposes. The individual is not, therefore, omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. The Lord, however, can fulfill all desires, and the Lord, being natural to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the minute independent living entities. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to himself and be eternally happy. Dadani buddhijogam janoma upajanti. The Vedic hymns therefore declares, Eshotu hi evo sadhu karma karyati tam jam ebho lokebho unni nishate esho eva sadhu karma karyati jam adho ninishate. The Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so that he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in impious activities so that he may go to hell. Similarly, the Mahabharata says, Aggajantur anishayam, Aggajantur anishayam, Atmana sukha dukkhaya, Ishvara prerita gacche, Shargam Vashu, Abhram eva na, Abhram evacha, Abhram evacha. The living entity is completely dependent in his desires and happiness. By the will of the Supreme, he can go to heaven or hell, as a cloud is driven by the air. Therefore, the embodied soul, by the immemorial desire, by his immemorial desire to avoid Krishna consciousness, causes his own bewilderment. Consequently, although he is constitutionally eternal, blissful, and cognizant, due to the littleness or littleness, very small size of his existence, he forgets his constitutional position of service to the Lord and is thus entrapped by nations. Sanskrit, Onu and Div. Like one glass of water, you can make it muddy, but ocean water, you cannot make muddy. And under the spell of ignorance, the living entity claims that the Lord is responsible for his conditional existence. The Vedanta Sutras also confirm this. Vaishamma nairginne na shapikshat tatahi darshayati. The Lord neither hates nor likes everyone, though he appears to. Little tough to understand? No. Yes. The spiritual subject matter is like that. Achinta. We will not understand everything. Then we will be able to understand something. Even understand once, you can read it again. And it's a question of revelation in the heart. How sweet Rasagola is by hearing, by seeing, by eating only. So when you serve the Lord, then this knowledge will reveal in the heart. Revelation. Revelation not in actually brain. Revelation in the heart. So we should desire humbly service attitude, pray to Lord so that we can understand. And by Guru Vaishnava's mercy, this transcendental knowledge is revealed. As it is. So